I'm shocked. I have to be honest, I'm shocked. I'm very, very shocked. Because for me, I believed it was as much a formality as anything. That Vinicius Jr. tonight, I would imagine 8-9 p.m. would be lifting the Ballon d'Or as the first Brazilian since Ricardo Kaká in 2007. I thought it was as good as done. The way everybody was speaking, Fabrizio Romano saying everybody expects Vini to win, the way all the journalists were speaking, the way Benzema was speaking, the way Vini was carrying himself, it seemed like a formality. I'm in extreme shock right now. And it's not because I don't think it's a robbery, personally. Let me say this very quickly. I don't think Vini has been robbed per se. I've been very consistent with this chat. Remember I made a video on the Ballon d'Or a few weeks ago, and I said for me, between Jude, Vini, and Rodri, I don't think any three have been stand out to the point that no one else even deserves a shout. I think all three of those could win the Ballon d'Or, and I wouldn't really have too much qualm about it. Now, who is my preference? Who do I think had the best case? I did think Vini. Vini would have been my vote. He would have been my winner. But do I think it's the biggest robbery ever? I do not. I don't. But let me say this. It is a shock. The reason why Vini for me would have won, and I get it. For me, the reason Rodri has won is probably because of his international performances. But here's the thing with Rodri. I think Rodri was, and it's funny, right? Because in the Premier League, I thought Rodri was the best player in the Premier League last year. I think Rodri was Man City's player of the year, and I think he was the PFA Premier League player of the year. He would have gotten my vote. Turns out, he didn't even get nominated for the Premier League player of the year. He didn't. There were 6 guys nominated ahead of him. Phil Foden ended up winning the award. But I actually think Rodri was the most consistent and standout player in the Premier League. Foden had a great campaign, but I actually thought Rodri was the best player in the Prem. But here's the thing. At the Euros, he ended up taking away Euro player of the tournament. And just like Donnarumma 4 years ago, who I didn't think was the best player at the tournament, I didn't think Rodri was the best player at the Euros. I didn't think he was Spain's best player. That's me being absolutely blunt here. I think he was the Premier League's best player. I don't think he should have won Euro player of the year or player of the tournament. I don't think so. I think Yamal was better. I think Fabian Ruiz for much of the tournament was better. I don't think it should have been Rodri. But he won it. So it's funny how that works out, right? For me, he was robbed, or not robbed, but he was robbed of even a nomination of PFA Player of the Year. Didn't even get nominated. But then I think Euro Player of the Tournament, I think he was lucky to win that. Now, Vini, the biggest thing that has killed him, bro, it's killed him. And I don't even think it's the numbers. For me, the numbers shit is nonsense. Because genuinely, chat, right? The numbers thing, if you want to go based off numbers and then trophies, Lautaro Martinez should be winning the award if you want to go purely off numbers. His numbers are fantastic. He won Serie A top scorer. He won Serie A player of the year. He won the Serie A. He won the Copa America. He won Copa America top scorer. He won the Serie A, the Copa Italia. He scored the winner in the final, scored the winner in the Copa America. Based on that, it should be him. But that's why for me, numbers don't determine everything. It's similar to why I said Henry didn't get robbed in 2003 just because he had better numbers than anybody. You still have to win. And you still have to have performances. I'm not saying Henry didn't. I'm not saying Lautaro didn't. But that's why for me, Vini, in terms of numbers, that's not the reason why I think, oh, his numbers weren't great, so he shouldn't win the Ballon d'Or. I think football is much more complex than that. If that's the case, every year, the guy who wins the European Golden Shoe should win Ballon d'Or. Not for me. But the thing that's killing Vini the most is his international performances. And I'm sorry, right? In Rodri's defense here, and if I'm playing devil's advocate, international football counts, guys. It does. Now, the Ballon d'Or are very inconsistent when it comes to their criteria because it seems like every year there's a different reason for why somebody wins it. Let me give you guys a few examples. In 2006, Cannavaro won the Ballon d'Or for numerous reasons, but mostly because of his performances at the World Cup. Because over a club campaign, Ronaldinho was the best player of 2006. However, internationally, Cannavaro's campaign, mixed with the fact that Zidane threw away his chances with a headbutt, won him that award. However, in 2010, Messi, who didn't score a goal at the World Cup and didn't win the Champions League, won the award off individual performances. He was so brilliant individually that he won the Ballon d'Or. And I had no qualms about it. Messi is the best player in the world. What am I going to do? Say Messi doesn't deserve it? Even Schneider said, what can I say? You're going to tell me I should have won a Ballon d'Or over Messi. It's tough to say that. But the criteria of 4 years ago went out the window. It went out the window completely. Then you look at 2013, where Cristiano Ronaldo won the Ballon d'Or without even winning a trophy. I think he won the Super Cup. But again, his numbers were so superb that won him the tournament, or that won him the Ballon d'Or over a Ribéry who won a treble. And he was very, very good for Bayern. Very, very influential. Then you look at 2018, where Modric won it. Was he the best player that year? Not for me. But again, you look at his international performances mixed with the fact his club won the Champions League. That won him the Ballon d'Or. Then for me, the one that spun everything out of complete pandemonium was 2022, when Messi won it. Was it 2022 or 2023? I think it was 2022. The Messi one for me, whatever one he won because of the World Cup, that one for me was a little odd. Because Yeah, 2023. That one for me was odd. Again, not because I didn't think Messi was a warranted winner, but the exact criteria for why he won the Ballon d'Or in 2023 was completely different to why he won that same award in 2010. On the basis of club performances and individual numbers, Haaland probably should have won the Ballon d'Or, but they rewarded international performances so much that Messi won it. But in 2010, it was a completely different story. You see what I mean? And I'm a Messi guy. Messi's my favorite player ever. For me, he's the GOAT. He's right there. Can you guys see that? Right there. So this is not me saying Messi, yo, fuck Messi or whatever. But the criteria for the Ballon d'Or changes every single year. And it's why, for me, it's very difficult to get that upset about it. Because one year, they'll reward individual numbers. The next year, they'll reward narratives. They'll reward the story. The next year, they'll reward international performances. The next year, they'll reward club performances. At the end of the day, it's a popularity contest. I do think that is the case. Whatever you want to think, I think the criteria is so vague and so fluid and so ever-changing every single season based on whoever's the favorite at that point, that it's very difficult for me to honestly be upset about the Ballon d'Or. And I think this year, international play has clearly come into effect. It clearly has had a huge impact on the Ballon d'Or. Because the fact is, Vini's Copa America was extremely disappointing. And it's not like Vini is playing for a Croatia or a Wales or a Liberia. He's playing for Brazil. And I understand this Brazil team on paper is not Brazil of 2002. It's not Brazil of 98. It's not Brazil of 1970. It's not even Brazil under Neymar. It's a poor Brazil team. But still, a Brazilian being eliminated as early as he did in Copa America and the performances being as flat as they were, it was always going to hurt him. Do I think it should have hurt him enough to take the Ballon d'Or away from him? Personally, no. I think Vini's peak last season, the highest heights he hit were higher than any height that Rodri hit and potentially even higher than any height that Jude Bellingham hit. But I can honestly say, is it a robbery? I don't think so. I don't think there was a standout nominee for this award this year. And that's why I continuously said anyone who wins the Ballon d'Or between Bellingham, Rodri, and Vini, they will have each had their own different reason for why they should win it. Any of them for me would have been understandable winners. And that's why for me, finding out Rodri has won it, it's a shock. I wasn't expecting it, but I don't think he's robbed Vini, personally. Who do I think has been the most consistent from day one of the season till day, 365? It's probably been Rodri. I think the first half of the season, Jude was the best player. I do think so, on performances. I think the second half of the season, excluding the international point of the summer, I think Vini was the best player in the world. But who has maintained the most average level, the highest average level from day one to day 365, while Vini's performances maybe weren't at their absolute best the first half, while Jude's maybe dipped in the second? Rodri has probably maintained a 7.5, 8 the entire way. Now, is that enough to win the Ballon d'Or? In my mind, no, which is why I would have had Vini. But clearly, the people voting have taken the international performances into play and taken Rodri's consistency and his importance as a midfielder, and they've given him the award. Who do I think is winning it next year? It depends. What's the criteria next year? If it's stats, probably Haaland. If it's individual performances, maybe Yamal. If it's most successful team, God knows who. Now, I see a lot of people as well upset that DM is winning it. How do I feel about that? I don't really care. I'll be so real. Maybe that's not the answer you guys are looking for. I can't. I'm not really bothered. First of all, Rodri for me is not your typical defensive midfielder, or at least the role that he's played for City the last year is not your Okay, one thing I do have an issue with is Carvajal shouts. I just saw in my chat. Chat, allow me. Carvajal is not the best player in the world. There's not even a conversation for him. This is for me where the Jorginho narrative and like come on, bro. No one at any point this season ever looked at Carvajal as a legitimate winner for the Ballon d'Or. Allow me, bro. He's a fucking right back. And he's not even a special right back at that. He's had a great career. He's had incredible achievements. But come on, the day Carvajal wins a Ballon d'Or, all the people saying football is over, football is ruined. The day Carvajal wins a Ballon d'Or, that's when football is ruined. That's when I'm bowing out. I'm finding a different career. I'm pulling my engineering degree out the dust. I'm covering the marks off of it, going back to my 9 to 5. The day Carvajal wins a Ballon d'Or, that's when I'm out of here. Don't compare Rodri to Carvajal winning the Ballon d'Or. It's completely different, bro. It's completely different, man. Come on. Rodri, the role that he plays for City is much more influential than the role that Carvajal plays for Real Madrid. That's not even a conversation. Come on. Come on. Or is that what we're really doing? Now, I see a lot of people saying Iniesta doesn't have a Ballon d'Or. Busquets doesn't have a Ballon d'Or. Xavi doesn't have a Ballon d'Or. De Bruyne doesn't have a Ballon d'Or. Chat, you have to understand the Ballon d'Or is a yearly thing. It's not a legacy award. It's a seasonal award. It's how good were you in that season. Neymar, I get that. There are like Vini would have had a Ballon d'Or over Neymar. That doesn't mean I believe Vini is better than Neymar. It's the same way I don't believe Rodri is better than, forget about Busquets, Xavi, and Iniesta. I don't think he's even better than De Bruyne. But it depends on who your competition is for that year, and it depends on how good you performed for a season. Just like Nedved, for me, isn't a better player than Henry. Over the season, he fit the criteria more than Henry. It's similar to Rodri. That's why having a Ballon d'Or doesn't make you the best player of all time. When you're looking at, when it's all said and done, a player's legacy, a player's resume, what they won, what they didn't win, it looks nice. Trust me, it's there. And it's going to give Rodri a few booster points when you talk about the greatest midfielders of all time. But a Ballon d'Or is not the be-all, end-all. It's a great achievement. Big up to Rodri. He's the first Premier League player to win it since Cristiano Ronaldo. The first Manchester City player to ever win it. But does it suddenly make him a top 3 Premier League player of all time? Not for me. Does it suddenly make him a top 3 Manchester City player? For me, probably not. Yeah, Michael Owen has a Ballon d'Or. Does that mean that he's a better player than Thierry Henry? Does it make him a better player than Luis Suarez? No, but look at the competition he was facing that season. Look at the seasons guys had that year compared to the seasons the year Suarez didn't win it, or the year Henry didn't win it. That it is what it is, man. It's a Ballon d'Or. It's not the be all end all of sport. It's a massive honor. It's a huge prestigious award to be given. But I don't think it's worth all of the outrage. Like I'm seeing today that Real Madrid are not going to travel to France today. An outrage that Vini is being robbed of the Ballon d'Or. For me, that's childish. And for me, that's unwarranted. I have to say, I think that's wrong. For Real Madrid to boycott the Ballon d'Or, I think is immature. I think it's childish. I think it's unnecessary. And I think it's poor sportsmanship. Vinicius Jr. did not just put up a season where he scored 70 goals and won the treble and won the World Cup for you guys to be this outraged. Come on, guys. I would have voted for Vini too. But it's not the biggest robbery on the planet. It's not the big... We're not going to be talking about Vini being robbed of the Ballon d'Or in 50 years as if Messi in 2011 got robbed. What? To not go to the Ballon d'Or ceremony for me is poor. Yes, let's be real. I can't remember the last time the Ballon d'Or actually held so much weight in conversations. It is prestigious, don't get me wrong. But I think the reaction is blown up. I think the Ballon d'Or, honestly, Chet, you have to understand this, right? The Ballon d'Or for the longest time wasn't even the most prestigious award in football. For a long time, FIFA Player of the Year was more prestigious of an award. But I do think the Messi and Ronaldo era, mixed with the fact that the Ballon d'Or and the World Player of the Year meshed into one in around, I think it was 2011 or 2010, that has given a lot more valor and prestige to the Ballon d'Or. It's why Cristiano Ronaldo made it such a goal to win as many as he did. It's why every single year now the award gets blown up the way it does. But at the end of the day, it's voted by journalists, right? It is voted by journalists, no? Or have they changed it to a manager and player one now? For the longest time, the Ballon d'Or was voted by journalists. France Football, they were the ones that voted for the award. Yes, from every country. Worldwide journalists. So, like... It's not like the players are voting for it. It's not like the fans are voting for it. It's the journalists that vote for it. So if I'm Vinny, I am aggrieved. I am annoyed. But enough to not show up to the award ceremony. I think that's poor, man. For me, it sets a poor precedent as well, too. In that every single time now a guy doesn't win the Ballon d'Or, they don't show up to the award. That's poor. FIFA award used to be captains and managers, I'm pretty sure, which made it more legit. Even that, bro. Why now do managers and players have the ultimate eye for talent? Maybe a manager is a little different. I think managers understand the game a little more. But players, how many games do they catch a season? For the most part, their decision making is also based on who they played during that season, how they performed against them. Players who don't win do not show up all the time, and I think that's poor. I saw Cristiano Ronaldo attend a lot of Ballon d'Or ceremonies. Now there were a few that he didn't show up for. I get that, but he went to a lot of Ballon d'Or ceremonies. I can remember Messi going to a lot of them as well too. Did Messi ever not go to a Ballon d'Or ceremony where he was in contention to win, even if he didn't win it? He was still there, man. Did Luka Modric deserve his Ballon d'Or? Not particularly for me. I think he was a bit fortunate to win that one, but it is what it is, man.